What's up, everybody? I am HoopsandHipHop, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokeblock Podcast. I am back today after taking an unexpected break last week. I do apologize for having no episode last week. Basically, what happened is I went out of town over the weekend, and with everything I've had going on recently, especially preparing for my trip that I took, it completely slipped my mind to record an episode ahead of time, and so it was literally like I was about to go out the door, literally I was leaving. I was like, oh wait, I totally forgot to record a podcast episode. So we didn't have one because of that. And once again, I do apologize, but we are back today. And it actually, I guess, sort of kind of works out because we have a lot of stuff to talk about now. A lot of stuff did happen in the world of Pokemon this week anyway, but we do have a ton of just new things going on to talk about, particularly the countdown to the Isle of Armor, because I believe since last time we talked, we did get that reveal trailer, or I should say that new trailer for the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, and we got the release date, so we do have that to talk about. And now we are to the point where it's less than a week away. As of today, Friday, it's 5 days away. That's absolutely crazy. I'm so excited for it. Hope you guys are too. So we're going to be talking about that. Going to be talking about some other stuff that have gone on in Pokemon, in the world of Pokemon recently. There was a new Twilight Wings episode that I want to touch on a little bit. We have some stuff about the actual anime to talk about and some other in-game events, things like that. It's going to be a fantastic episode. And before we get into that fantastic episode, as always, I do need to thank our sponsors. They help us do what we do here, so we appreciate them very much. And they just make the channel, and they make this show a possibility. So without further ado, today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Due to the global pandemic, the deadline to file your taxes for 2019 was pushed back to July 15th, 2020. If you haven't filed for 2019 yet, there's good news. The Tax Defense Group can e-file your taxes for you. The process is quick, and for millions of people, you'll get money back. So what are you waiting for? Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973 to get started. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Writer Junkie. Are you thinking about starting a business or a side hustle? For all businesses to be successful, you need a website. Writer Junkie offers website development, content writing, and SEO services for business websites. So call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Once again, that number is 805-587-7966. Okay, so where to begin? I think we might as well touch on a little of the more smaller items of note before we get into the big expansion discussion. So firstly, like I said, we had a new episode of Pokemon Twilight Wings, and it was really awesome, as all of the Twilight Wings episodes have been. If you've been following the series, it's a really good series. If not, you absolutely need to watch it. This one was about Oleana and basically just how she became Chairman Rose's assistant. It showed her younger, which was really cool. And it was just another really fun, enjoyable episode. I really love these types of miniseries that they do. If you haven't heard my dedicated podcast to why I hate and love Pokemon Twilight Wings at the same time, I highly recommend you check it out because I get into more detail on that subject. But basically, it's a shame that this series is only 7 episodes long. After this last episode, we only have 2 more, and then that's basically it. It really sucks, but I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles. The next episode was teased to be about Alistair, so that should be awesome. That should be really cool. And yeah, it's just a joy. If you haven't watched it, once again, I highly recommend you check it out. Speaking of anime stuff, though, in the category of the main anime, today is actually a special day. Today, the day that I'm talking about this, June 12th, because June 12th is the day that Pokemon Journeys, the brand new anime series that has been running in Japan for a while, finally makes its debut in the US. It's on Netflix exclusively in the US, and the first 12 episodes are up right now to watch. I personally have not followed the main Pokemon anime for a long time since I was a kid. I keep up with what's going on, like I know what Pokemon Ash has and things like that, but I've never intently watched it since I was like a kid. So this particular series, I think I'm more inclined to try, just because I think it's a really good idea that it is on Netflix, because having it on Netflix where it's like, boom, here you go, and you don't have to like figure out what time it's going on, like what the time slot is if it was on TV, that makes it a lot more convenient, a lot more accessible. So just for that reason, I'm more inclined to try it out. Plus, this series in general looks more interesting. Obviously, Ash is going to every single region. His team that we know of based on the Japanese episodes is looking bomb, so it's looking like they're taking things a little more seriously that way, and it just looks interesting in general. I'm really hoping that the tone of it is something that I can enjoy, because a lot of times with the main Pokemon anime, it's just way too kidsy and sunshine and rainbows, and just has that it's way too over bubbly for me. I get that type of vibe a lot of times. I know the Unova anime was that way, and to a certain degree the Sun and Moon anime was that way too, because it was just like they did such a weird thing, and the animation was just so much more kiddie. So like a lot of times that's what turns me off about the anime. So I'm hoping that this go around it's not necessarily like that, at least as much. And who knows, maybe I'll like it. I certainly would love to like it, because the main reason why I love things like Twilight Wings and just want that to become like a whole series is because I want a Pokemon show to be able to get invested in. Like, that just would like complete my Pokemon fan experience, I guess you could say, but I just cannot get into the anime, or I have not been able to get into the anime just because of the way they run it. And it is kind of my personal just preference, I guess, of just like what I like in a show, but yeah, I just haven't been able to get into it. So here's hoping that I will be able to get into this one this time, because I frankly would really like to. And then last but not least, one little tidbit about the games, I should say. There's always two of them. They release in pairs. Before we actually get into the expansion and start talking about that, is a really cool add-on. So apparently, if in the Isle of Armor expansion specifically, if you have Zarude in your party, there's going to be a way that you'll actually be able to obtain Ash's hat in the game to where you can actually wear it as the player character, which is really awesome. And it's, as far as like Ash's decor, like his clothes and stuff, we've never ever had that as an option for the player character, as far as I'm aware. If I'm remembering correctly, this is the first time we've ever been able to wear his hat or anything like that, which is really surprising, to be honest with you. We obviously had the Ash cap Pikachus, and those were great, but this is the first time we've ever been able to kind of dress up like Ash, which kind of surprising once again that it's taken this long, especially when we've had player customization since X and Y, but it's really cool at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's cool just to have that as an option, and frankly, they should embrace that even more with like being able to have outfits of a lot of the different characters. Like you could have like Team Rocket's get up that they have, you could have like Go's outfit, like just a bunch of others. They are kind of doing that with the characters in Sword and Shield, to where you can dress up like Marnie, I know you can. I think there's like options for, I want to say Hop, and maybe like another male character, just so there's a male version, a female version, that sort of thing. So they're kind of getting into that. Hopefully they get into that even more, and they do like I said, bonuses and just like special offers with the anime characters too. That would be really, really cool. They still have not mentioned how we're going to be able to get Zarude, though, at least outside of Japan. In Japan, I believe you get a code if you buy a ticket for the movie, and the movie actually got delayed 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. It's still not out yet, but they're starting to get the I think the pre-orders for tickets up and rolling again, but it's been like delayed by 3 months, which is pretty crazy. But I guess this will sort of allow it to align a little better with the release of the expansion, which is cool, because if it had not got delayed, it would be releasing in July which would be about a month after the expansion. That would be kind of in the middle, whereas now, I guess the expansion is now going to come out before, even more so before the Isle of Armor, but it could be in line with the Crown Tundra. But it doesn't seem like we're going to have to wait that long to get Zarude, because one of the requirements to get this bonus is specifically if you have the Isle of Armor expansion. So it's probably going to go down at some point between June 17th and then the Crown Tundra's release. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Very interesting nonetheless. I'm really interested and hopeful, but not like super hopeful at the same time, that Zarude gets some cool way of being introduced into the games. I am so sick and tired of just getting the Pokemon gifted to us. Please do not do that. This is the first event mythical Pokemon of Generation 8. For the love of Holy Arceus, Game Freak, we do not want that. It would take you like 2 seconds to plan in some kind of event or quest or something to where I can go to a new area and just catch the Pokemon myself. It would not be that hard. Please get back to that. Please, we're begging you. Just, that is my one wish. That's the only thing I care about. With all the stuff that Sword and Shield has been criticized for, that's the only thing I want. That's the only thing I really care about. Everything else, I'm not like... I don't want to get into that conversation again. I'm so tired of that. But you guys get the idea. You get the idea. I just want a cool event for Zarude. That's all I'm asking. In terms of the expansion in general, though, like I said, less than a week away, Isle of Armor is coming at us. I am really, really excited for it, guys. I really am. One of the things that I was actually thinking about yesterday that I think is going to be really enjoyable, and people, I don't know, like it's just kind of like falling under the radar, I guess, is that the whole thing, the entirety of it all, is going to be in a seamless open world where you have full access to a 3D camera. So the entire thing is going to be a wild area, so to speak, which I think is going to just elevate the experience that much more. It's going to really immerse us that much more, I think. And the thing, like, so I'm just really excited about just playing that in general, but it also gets me excited for the future at the same time, because the writing is kind of on the wall with this move for the expansion that is the direction they're going, because they tried it out, they implemented it in a segment of the game in Sword and Shield with the wild area. Now with the expansion, the entirety of it, even though it's a smaller sample size, is that way, is the open world, is the 3D camera situation. And that just tells me that the next game after this, whether it's Diamond and Pearl remakes or whatever the case may be, that the entirety of that next game is going to be seamless open world 3D camera, which is just going to be such a magical experience to be able to play through, because we've wanted that for so long. We got a taste of it in Sword and Shield, but to have the whole game be that way, I think that's just going to elevate things to a new level that Pokemon fans have wanted for a while, and is going to make it just so much more enjoyable. Will they do that with the Diamond and Pearl remakes? It's hard to say, because even though that does seem to be the next game in the lineup, and like I said, I do certainly believe that the next game, whatever it is, will have that as one of its mechanics, where the whole game is that way. Given that Diamond and Pearl would be a remake, it's hard to say whether or not it will actually function that way, because obviously they want to stay true to the original, and then obviously the Sinnoh region and its layout has its structure and whatnot, so it's hard to say whether or not that'll happen. But at the same time, it's not like you have to have an open world to have a fully 3D camera and be able to operate with that space instead of a fixed camera. So I think that's something that could absolutely be done regardless. And if it was, I think that would obviously just make the Diamond and Pearl remakes that much better, because it would just, like I said, that's something that just elevates the experience regardless of like the content that you're playing. Just being able to have access to that camera, move it around, it just gives you a more immersive experience, I feel like, as opposed to the fixed camera where it's just like on rails. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also really looking forward to, literally just everything about it. Like they very much pulled the same marketing strategy that they had with Sword and Shield, where they didn't really talk too much about stuff. Like the main reveal that happened on January 9th was the main reveal. Like that's what gave us all our information, and past that, the only thing we got, like literally the only stuff we got outside of that initial reveal were a couple of extra cutscenes that were like 10 seconds long in a mini direct that happened in March, and then we got the trailer that we got a couple weeks ago that gave us like names for characters and Pokemon that we hadn't been formally introduced to yet, and that didn't even technically come in the trailer. It actually came on the website after the fact. So they've been super close to the chest with it, and that that does get me excited because I want to see what else there is to like what else it has to offer. It is going to be kind of interesting. I do want to say ahead of time for people to not get their expectations like too out of whack, not just because not for any reason that I like think it's going to be bad, because I don't think it's going to be bad. It's just you have to keep in mind that this is an expansion. It's not a whole new game, and this is the first part of the expansion, and there's 2 parts, so naturally it is going to be a little bit smaller than an actual full game. So don't go in expecting a full game experience. If you do, you're going to be let down regardless, and that's going to kind of be your own fault because you were expecting something that was unrealistic for an expansion. So just keep that in mind as you go into it. But with that being said, there are going to be some things that we haven't seen yet that they're holding behind the curtain, and those are the things that I'm really excited to see, because that's like the main draw of any new Pokemon game, is to see the new Pokemon, new characters, and I do believe there's some new Pokemon that we have not yet seen that we're going to get introduced to. Really quick before I start talking about them though, once again want to say go check out the tax defense group if you need to get your taxes filed. They will definitely hook you up. Number is 800-850-7973. Visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com, and you can also check out Writer Junkie if you need that business website to get your side hustle on. Call them at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at Writer Junkie. Excuse me. But with that being said, I do believe that there's going to be some new Pokemon, and one of them that I'm going to start off with, because I will absolutely 100% bet money. I will bet money that this Pokemon is going to get revealed, and if I'm wrong, I'll take my L if I'm wrong, but I am so sure that this is going to happen. Clara is going to have a new Galarian form of her own. It's going to be Galarian Dustox, and we're also going to see Galarian Beautifly. The reason why I say this is because I initially said this before we even had the information we do now, back when we got the January 9th trailer, because a lot of people noticed really quickly that Clara's headband looks like a Dustox, and with new Galarian forms, people kind of put 2 and 2 together because the headband is like different colors to what Dustox is normally colored, and so they believe that could be a thing, especially because she's a poison type trainer, and Dustox is a poison type. Well, so that's kind of the groundwork for this theory that we're going to get a Galarian Dustox. Well, it goes even further than that, because obviously we got Galarian Slowbro, who is Psychic type, just like the Psychic type user Avery. So the theory was that Galarian Slowpoke and Slowbro would be Avery's signature Pokemon, or at least his signature Galarian form, and then Clara would get one of her own, which would be Galarian Dustox. And that actually checked out, because in this most recent trailer we did see Avery using a Galarian Slowbro. And the thing that really seals the deal is the fact that after showing Avery with his Galarian Slowbro, they showed Clara about to send out one of her Pokemon, but then the trailer conveniently whited out and went to something else before we got to see what her Pokemon is. And that's just a classic sign of they're hiding something. And then the final nail in the coffin that tells me Galarian Dustox is the play here is the fact that Dustox is part of a branched evolution line along with Beautifly, which is the perfect thing to act as a counterpart, to Galarian Slowbro, because Slowbro is also part of a branched evolution with Slowking. So I think just the way that we're getting Slowbro in the Isle of Armor and Slowking in the Crown Tundra, we will get Dustox in the Isle of Armor, and that'll be Clara's signature Pokemon, and we'll get Beautifly probably in the Crown Tundra. I am just like beyond certain that is what's going to happen. I will be extremely surprised if that's not the case and she sends out like Galarian Zangoose or something like that. I will take my L, but I would be very surprised because I am very, very certain that is what's going to happen. And I am usually not this certain about things. So we'll get to see what happens in 5 days, which is really exciting. But that's what I feel like. That is just one of the for sure things, in my opinion, that's going to happen. Outside of those Pokemon, though, it's going to be really interesting to see how many more new Pokemon there are. Because we know we're getting new Galarian forms. We technically are getting new Pokemon too, in the form of, obviously, the legendaries like Cubfu and Urshifu. But it's hard to say whether or not we'll get any more new Pokemon past that. Like, in terms of just brand new Galar Pokemon, not Galarian forms. If I had to guess, I would say probably no, that's not going to happen. It would be an amazing surprise if we did, but I just don't feel like that's going to happen. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. As far as Galarian forms, though, I definitely feel like there's going to be at least 1 or 2 more Galarian forms past what Clara and Avery have, because it just seems like only adding 2, like if you're gonna tout that you're bringing new Pokemon to the table and then you only bring 2 Galarian forms, like that just seems kind of weak in my opinion. That seems kind of like you're shortchanging us a little bit. And I'm not even like, that's not even me acting like an entitled, like greedy fan, you know, like most people, or like a lot of people like to say some people are, like, that whole argument. Like, that's not even me being that way. Like, I'm just saying, like, 2 Galarian forms, even with the fact that this is only part 1 of an expansion, not a whole game, that does seem to be a little bit shallow in terms of the content. So if I had to, like, once again take a guess, I would say that at least 1 to 2 more new Pokemon Galarian forms, however, whatever form they take, is going to be in the game. Like, we're gonna see a couple more outside of just the ones that Clara and Avery have. I'm definitely really hoping for that. I would be significantly disappointed if it was not the case and we only got the ones that Clara and Avery have, but I do, so I'm hopeful, that's what I'm really, really hoping for, but I do also feel like that's going to be the case at the same time. Like I said, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if that's what they kind of just went with and they didn't have anything past that, especially because that would effectively mean that they have shown us all of what is in the expansion. Because we've seen Cubfu, we've seen Galarian Slowbro. The only one we haven't seen is whatever Clara's going to get. So that would be only one thing that we haven't seen, which would effectively mean that they showed us all of the stuff in the Isle of Armor in the trailers, which we know they're not doing because, like I said, with Sword and Shield, they were super close to the chest. It seems they're very much doing the same with the expansions. So they've got to have more than just that is going to be there for us to discover on our own, just because that's been their strategy with this marketing. So it would really, really shock me if there wasn't more than that, which is why I'm confident that there will be. I'm really excited to see what ultimately it is. It's obviously really, like, it could be anything. It's a shot in the dark at this point. So I'm really interested. I'm really, really intrigued, and I think that's the main reason why I'm so excited for this in particular. With Sword and Shield itself, it was obviously like a whole new region, whole new adventure, and that was kind of just like a pure hype sort of scenario that everyone gets excited for and everyone enjoys. This time around, it is hype. And it is excitement, but it's a different kind. It's more like an intrigue level because we've never had a Pokemon expansion before. We don't really know what to expect in terms of what we're gonna find. Like, we obviously have an idea based on the trailers, but just in terms of how it's gonna go, we don't really know because we've never experienced this sort of thing before. We don't know how Game Freak is going to approach it. So it's just going to be really, really intriguing and really, really fun to experience for the first time. And you know what? I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave off. So that's where we're going to leave off for the day. We're about out of time anyways. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to follow wherever you're listening. If you're on YouTube, leave a comment as well, leave a like, and subscribe once again. And tune in next week for another episode. Next week we'll have the expansion in our hands, and I will have a couple days to have played it, and so I'll be talking about that in full. I might do a review, I might just talk about other things in general about it. Either way, we're gonna have a real meaty, rich discussion about the expansion, and it's gonna be a ton of fun, so make sure you're here for that. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on my own channel, Hoops and Hip Hop, for more Pokemon content, just because I post Pokemon content over there all the time, and it's just a big ball of fun. So if you're not over there already, make sure you go check me out. I would really appreciate it. With that being said, though, once again, I'll see you guys next Friday. Hope you guys have a great week and a great weekend. I love you guys so much, and once again, until the next one, I love you, and I'll smell you guys later.